Joe Rogan, announcer for the UFC, has got a podcast called the Joe Rogan Program, and he covered a topic with Leon and Colby. And Joe had made a statement that Colby's trash talk backfired. And Colby didn't fight very good. I tied that into the trash talk. Now, I gotta tell you, my freshman year of high school, teacher sends us outside, and we're to find a leaf. To find a leaf, right? We're in Oregon, there's trees everywhere, and leaves come down. We gotta go find a leaf, and we need to write a story about the leaf. And there was some kind of requirement. I think it needed to be 2 paragraphs. So you're looking at about 6, 7, 8 sentences on a leaf. So we came inside and the teacher asked us who would like to read about their leaf. And different people wouldn't. How it's blowing and how it all cracks. How when it gets wet, it's wilty and can bend. Whatever it was about the leaf. And then at the end of the experiment, the teacher reveals to us that that leaf had nothing to do with the leaf that you just described yourself. That whatever it was that you walked outside and you described the leaf, however that was, you were actually talking about yourself. And we all, our jaws struggle. Oh my God, because she was right. That's exactly what it was. So when I see somebody like Rogan talking about a topic like this, a trash talking situation and how it would shut you down, they're talking about themselves. Like I'll hear fighters that will say, you know, you can't have emotion. Or they'll judge another fighter, oh, he's going to lose, he's too emotional. Well, they're describing themselves. If in this situation, trash talking is to work against you, then that's the person is telling you, I am personally not mentally tough and focused enough to go in and do what I have to do, and putting that into a separate bucket than the bucket that I stand in at a press conference. Those two come together. What I did at a press conference on Thursday is going to tie into what I do in a cage on Saturday. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. There's nothing wrong. I just find it to be a very interesting thing. I can't relate. I don't get it. I've never understood it. And I've heard people say it about me. I've heard people say that Chael would try to get under somebody's skin, or Chael would try to get into somebody's head, as though I thought that was going to affect the outcome of the fight. I never understood it. I never did it. As many people as would say that about me or my trash talk, I never once did it to get into a guy's head to affect the fight. I never once did it to try to make him emotional to affect the fight. I would have if I was equipped with the information that these tough guys could be so affected by words. I would have done those things. But I had to follow the same thing that Rogan's following when he says this, or the teacher when she had us go outside and write about the leaves. I could only write what was inside. I don't know anything about it. There's nothing that somebody could say or ever has said that rattled me one way or the other. Fired me up, brought me down, made me compete differently. That has never happened. And I say that to you, and maybe I'm looking at the words a little too literal, but Joe Rogan said that he thought Colby's trash talk had backfired. Well, the trash talk is done to try to bring interest to the fight. It's not done to have anything to do with the fight. It is not done, right, like a person does not go to a press conference to talk trash to affect that other guy at all. Not a pre-fight press conference. Now, it's totally different if you're picking a fight versus promoting a fight, but I'm just sharing for you what Joe was talking about was Colby and Leon's pre-fight press conference. And it's so greatly misunderstood. Colby didn't do any of that for himself. He did not show up in the costume for himself. He did not use the lines. He didn't even have the 7 layers of hell for himself. He did all of that for the company. And the president of the company, Dana White, came out and said, was it 30%, guys? Did he say 30% or 300%? Must have been 30%, right? That they felt it right there in that moment. business had exemplified right there in that moment. But Colby didn't do any of that to affect Leon's performance or to affect his own performance. It wasn't to make myself fight harder or to reduce him. None of the psychology of that. It was done purely to show the boss that I'm a good team player, to create opportunities down the road and to create more money in my back room check on this specific night. There's nothing more complex about it. If Colby wasn't a good team player, he wouldn't have showed up in the costume. He would have showed up the way Leon showed up, with nothing. Wearing nothing, doing nothing, saying nothing. I don't say that to put Leon down. I'm sharing with you where this comes from. These guys that are out there, they're talking, should call them trash talkers. However you want to say it, it's not done to influence the fight. And the people that think that it is, they're all the same kind of person. People that have never fought. Period. And I'm sharing that with you because if Rogan's sentiment is the popular sentiment, if you guys saw that and agreed with him or saw it that way or thought, that really reduces from Colby. It reduces what he's doing. It means he's not going to get the credit that he deserves. I mean, if Rogan thinks that, does Dana think that? Does Dana not understand that Colby went on that stage thinking about himself? None. Thinking about Leon? None. Thinking about Saturday night's athletic competition under the unified rules? None. Zero. It was purely for business. Does he not understand that? If he doesn't understand that, then that bonus check isn't there. If he doesn't understand that, then the opportunity to headline another event because you know you can count on a guy to go out and get the word out, it's not there. Colby's going to be missing out on everything that he did. He did nothing up there to affect the fight, and nothing that he did up there did affect the fight. But I also didn't know that the perception by so many was that it was done to affect the fight. It was done purely as a selfless act that I am the partner you brought in and you entrusted. I am doing this for you. Is that not known? Is that not understood? It's very, very interesting to me when somebody on the outside looks in and can misunderstand something to such a high level. Saying something about somebody else does not invigorate you and strengthen you. Hearing something said about you from somebody else does not motivate or pull you down. It doesn't affect the fight at all. It could affect your actions right there in that moment. But something known as rage, and people create rage, which generally lasts about 2.1 seconds, just so you understand. When you feel that absolute rage, about 2.1 seconds, take that deep breath, calm down. This fight was 2 days away. Not only was it two days away, it was a weight cut away, which is the hardest thing you could possibly do, is to beat that scale. That's where all your focus, effort, and energy went. Then it's a whole regroup. It's just like 2 fights later, right? Whatever's said on Thursday, Saturday is 2 fights later. I was just surprised there was such a large misconception. And if it is, then Colby's not getting the credit that he deserves. He's not even being understood why he's doing those things, which is to entertain you and to bring you in and have you hopefully tell somebody else and bring them in. It was a campaign. It was a press conference. You can either appreciate what Colby did. You don't have to. You don't have to appreciate it. But if you think that Leon was on the right side of that, then let's just imagine watching a press conference where we have 2 guys doing what Leon did. There's no pressure on Leon. There's no, right? I mean, he doesn't have to pack a bag. He doesn't have this planned out. He doesn't have to put the outfit on. Doesn't take him any extra time. Shows up just like this, sits down. That's it. Is that what you want guys to do? Would that have been fun to watch? Would have you watched it if they were doing that? Is that really what you mean? And do you really think that that's the best way to go out and get the best performance? Do you really mean that? Because if a guy like Colby isn't recognized by the organization and he isn't rewarded for it, then don't do it. All guys should see it and they should stop. And we can have a press conference that's nothing more than a table and some microphones and some chairs with talking heads on it that nobody watches. We can do that. Eddie Hearn did one earlier today, with a guy that allegedly was Anthony Joshua and a guy that allegedly worked in salt mines, right? Like, both guys are up there telling their lie, hoping that he gets over. We can do those, but you didn't watch it. You did not watch it. You did not watch Joshua and Francis's press conference. That number is not only audited, it's publicly audited. It's on YouTube right now. It was abysmal. Is abysmal what you want, or do you want to entertain? You decide. I don't tell you. You decide. But if you're going to misunderstand something to such a high degree, guys like Colby, what's the point?